Y'all, Wizard101 just announced some gigantic news today. If you follow their Twitter, you already know about this. But today and all the way through May 19th, that is right, for the next week, Wizard101 has marked every single player as a member. What does this mean? That means if you log into Wiz this week, you can basically experience everything that a paying member experiences without paying. That includes every single area in Wizard101, because if you're not a member, you have to pay crowns to unlock them, and also member benefits, which I think is kind of dope, because this month they have extended member benefits for some reason. I don't know why, but it's cool. Every time they do this, man, I feel like everybody gets hyped. There's no surprise there. The comment section on this tweet was literally, you know, it was full of memes, full of celebration. And every time I see how hyped people get about this, I always wonder why they don't do this more often. Honestly, I wonder why more areas aren't free in general. And it really got me thinking that the game has really been changing a lot. I feel like since the last time they did a free member, it's been about 8 months. I want to say the last time they did it was September. Since the last time they did free member for every, you know, account, I feel like the game has changed a lot, to the point where membership more and more feels like a hindrance to the growth of the game. And what do I mean by that? I feel like the best way that a game can grow is when people play it a lot. And I feel like the past year, they've added so many ways for you to sink insane amounts of time into the game. I think when we look at spellments, I feel like you almost don't need to look any further. There's like 3 different classes of spellments that you can get. There's like, you know, main storyline spellments that you can like quest for. There's gold key bosses that are extremely diverse that you can farm for. And then there's even event spellments that you could do timed events for. You can sink tons and tons of time into these things. And I feel like people that actually get into Wiz and do that, it would create a much, much healthier atmosphere. And what spellments all have in common now is that there's a way to literally speed up the process. If you want event spellments, you can now buy Lunari and basically speed run Beast Moon. If you want the slightly more accessible spellments that you get from the storyline, you can buy some very, very cheap packs and get school-specific drops. If you want the more premium spellments, you can open up the slightly more expensive pack, and then you can get the really, really useful lore spells out of it. It seems as time has gone on, not only have they added way more ways to really sink tons of time into the game, but they've also added ways to monetize it with crowns. And if they have all these ways to monetize the game, I think it really begs the question of why something as cool as free membership only happens like twice a year at this point. I'm not even saying they should do away with membership. I actually kind of get it why, you know, a more constant flow of income is probably a good idea. But I think the way membership works right now, especially now that they've done so much to the game to make it really, really something you can sink time into, it makes no sense why it works the way that it does now. In my opinion, what they should do is they should add more member benefits and just make it so that if you're, you know, a paying member, you get those. And then really, really cool side worlds where you could do things like quests, like farm for gear, farm for spellments, you know, hang out with people in all these weird worlds. Those things shouldn't be locked behind any sort of paywall at all. I think I've actually noticed, especially recently, where like a lot of people actually don't mind that they can open up packs for, you know, various things, right? Unlike in past years, I feel like it's not as much as a complaint now for, you know, gear to be just behind packs, like the Wallaroo Wastelander pack, or even for otherwise accessible gear to be made available through world packs, like the one that they released a couple of weeks ago. It seems like if people are actually given valid alternatives, they don't actually mind paying crowns, which is like pretty cool, because I don't think this was a thing before. And what I think is actually super, super worth noting is that probably the shift on this has come from the fact that the devs are actually doing a much, much better job with the PvE portion of this game. And this is something that honestly, I really don't think I can give them enough credit for, but the game, if you compare it to like even a couple of years ago, the pity systems are better. There is nothing in this game that you have to pay for to get. Let's take an example just based on what they've done recently, right? Like, let's look at the Dream Reaver armor. This is the best PvE robe right now, pretty much give or take for, you know, max levels. I could literally open up a pack for this right now. This is something that you can open up a pack for, and you might be lucky enough to get it without doing anything. But the pity system in Wallaroo is also goated. If I wanted this gear, I could literally just run a dungeon and collect some reagents and do it myself. It wouldn't even take that long if I had like a solid team to do it with. This type of stuff is gigantic progress for Wiz, and I think that should be worth noting. People are more comfortable with purchasing and using crowns now than they ever used to be. And why is that? That's because the game's actually putting in the effort to make gear accessible if you wanted to actually try your ass off to get it. And if you don't, you can still just open up a bunch of packs. It's cool that increasingly stuff is both earnable without money and buyable, right? That stuff is, that's actually a huge evolution in my opinion for Wiz. I think I would have literally no problem with someone literally buying all the spellments that I would farm for with hours and hours of my time if there was a membership, because then it actually kind of makes sense at that point. So to me, as they add more and more ways to spend time, and they also add more and more ways to spend crowns so you don't have to spend time, if that's a trend that Wiz feels comfortable with, I don't get why they make membership like the way that it is. I really hope all of these events are just like, you know, testing so that like they can figure out what they could make free for people so they can actually experience the game when they're not members. But if the strategy is to give people like a taste of the game when it is free so that they will become members or they will pay later, I feel like the strategy would work a lot better if they did this either way more often, or if not actually having member wasn't so restrictive. Right now, let's say this event ends, you don't even have all of Wizard City unlocked, right? You literally only have like a little bit of it. And that hasn't changed, even though this game, since they started doing this, has added literally dozens of new worlds where you could honestly fall in love with the game all over again if you just had the chance to experience it. So to me, when they started doing all these like, you know, free Wizard City events and free membership events, to me, it kind of felt like, are they collecting data on how they can make this available? But if they're gonna do that, it's been many years, and at the same time, they're making all these like premium pay to advanced like, you know, systems. Like, I feel like it's a weird combo. I'd love to see one of them like, you know, give something to the player instead of always seeming to push purchases on the player. That's just my frustration with this, even though I love that, you know, it's free. Like, it's nothing but something you should celebrate. All in all, y'all, I'm just really glad that they haven't stopped doing this, at least, you know, man. Even if this is just a 1 week, people are finally gonna try Wiz again for the first time. That's still a good thing, you know, like at the end of the day. So honestly, pretty hype. If you're not hype about it, that's crazy. But yeah, y'all should share this news with your friends. Anybody who, you know, maybe hasn't played Wiz because of the insane paywall. Hopefully every one of these events, we can get a bunch of people to play so that, you know, like the message is sent loud and clear. If this game was actually free to play, so many more people would play it. I feel like that's something we all want. That's something that I want for sure. Let me know what you guys are excited to do. If you haven't had member and you have it now, what's the first thing you're gonna do? And let me know what y'all's thoughts on the idea of membership in general with the way Wiz has been changing as time has gone on, for better or for worse. As always, I look forward to reading all of y'all's comments. Drop a like if you enjoyed, leave a sub if you're new, and if somebody hasn't told you you're awesome today, they doing something wrong. Stay awesome. See y'all soon, and yeah.